Hello, welcome to another episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. I'm your host, Bubbs. Today is Thursday, May 23rd. Hopefully, everybody is having a good day so far today. We've got another day in the books and another OTA practice in the books for the New York Jets as day 3 is complete. This is episode 310 of the In the Trenches with Gang Green podcast. I thank you as always for joining me. Make sure to please like and subscribe, setting that goal of 1,000 subscribers by week 1. Jets Niners out west on Monday Night Football. So can't wait for that. But it is only May, and we've still got a lot to discuss. OTA day number 3 was today, and we've got some nice inside information from a New York Jets season ticket holder who also covers the team that was out at practice this afternoon. So it wasn't an open public or open media practice. That was, of course, on Tuesday. Practice was open to the media. The Jets had a day off yesterday from practice, and then we're back in action today. But season ticket holders were out there today at practice, select couple of them. And Brandon Pockris, who covers the New York Jets for JetsXFactor.com, is a season ticket holder and was out there this afternoon, basically giving us all the Jet fans, giving all the fans out there some clips, giving all the fans out there information on what the New York Jets were doing this afternoon, top performers, Aaron Rodgers, of course, and all of that. So thank you to that great insight. We'll break it all down in today's podcast, recap day number 3, and get you on your way here on this Thursday evening. So day 3, as you can see here, we'll throw up the tweet on the screen from Brandon Pockris, who again covers the Jets for JetsXFactor.com. Broke down some of his biggest takeaways of the afternoon, being out there, seeing it live in person, seeing day 3 live in person. We'll kind of break down some of those biggest takeaways and, of course, some of his other tweets and some of the other things that took place today at practice. And one of the biggest takeaways, again, was Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson. That was something that we saw at the first open media practice, which was Tuesday, something we saw all of last training camp. We saw it in the Jets-Giants preseason finale at MetLife last year, where Aaron Rodgers threw the touchdown to Garrett Wilson, and we were all getting that feeling of, man, this is it. This is the year. Garrett Wilson's going to go off. Aaron Rodgers, Wilson, just gives you so much excitement. Of course, it ends 4 snaps in, but you're starting to see that connection happen again. And I know it's only OTAs. I get it's only shorts. There's no pads and very minimal contact. I understand all that, but it is still exciting to see here in May that these two are building up that chemistry that they had built up back in August of last year during the summer months, during training camp, and of course, the one preseason game against the New York Giants. This afternoon, Rodgers had his first throw of the afternoon, went deep to Garrett Wilson, and then on the very next play was able to connect with GW again. So back-to-back plays to open up practice. You saw the Rodgers to Garrett Wilson connection, and then towards the end of the session, during the team period phase, Rodgers had another throw to Garrett Wilson. In total this afternoon, it seems as if they connected about 4 or 5 times. So a very busy day, a day of a whole lot of targets for Garrett Wilson, a whole lot of Rodgers looking his way, and them two continuing to build up that chemistry that, again, was already built last year. And, we talked about it last year. This is even something that is overreacting. This is something that we know what Garrett Wilson's capable of. You give Garrett Wilson an actual quarterback. You give Garrett Wilson a full season of Aaron Rodgers. This is a guy that can easily go off for 1,400, 1,450, 1,500 yards this season and be right up there in the top 5 portion of the NFL in receiving yards this season. You can also see a world where this is a guy that'll probably have well over 100 receptions this year. 110, 115, 120 maybe. This is a guy that's going to get the ball just fed to him, 10, 11, 12 targets a game. Ideally 8, 9 receptions a game. 95, 100 plus yards. You might see a 200-yard explosion in one of these games. It's going to be a really fun year for Garrett Wilson. A healthy Aaron Rodgers with Garrett Wilson, who, knock on wood, has been able to stay healthy. The only effect negatively on his career so far has been the crappy quarterback play that he's been given through his first 34 NFL games, his first 2 seasons. But man, 2,145 yards in his first 2 years with Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, Chris Streveler, Mike White, Joe Flacco, all these guys. Now give him Aaron Rodgers. He can go to another level. So that's exciting to see. Again, only May. You still got to be excited because this is something we saw last year, and you're seeing it again. It feels like they're picking up right where they left off prior to the Rodgers injury. Rodgers also connected with Lazard a few times. He also got the ball out to Conklin, was able to get the ball out to Braylon Allen a couple times, so mixed it around. No Breece Hall practice again today. Obviously, some guys still aren't out there. Mike Williams is still rehabbing, so he wasn't out there. So there is still some guys that are, of course, still missing, not there, so it isn't quite the full offense. Rehabbing reasons, it's optional, so not every day are you going to see all the guys out there. So that was mainly the Rodgers stuff. And I want to kind of break down this tweet here from Brandon, who kind of posted his overall takeaways. Again, we mentioned the Rodgers to Wilson stuff right off the top, looking very, very strong. I wanted to get into Lazard as well. Lazard seems to here be a little bit better through the first 3 days, specifically Tuesday and then this afternoon. It seems like he's been okay. And again, I am not getting my hopes up for Allen Lazard, but had the touchdown on Tuesday. I totally understand it's OTAs, but this is all we've got right now to grade. This is all we've got right now is OTAs. And I get that. But it seems like there might be a little bit more focus from Lazard, maybe a little bit more attention to detail when it comes to actually playing football as opposed to kicking around a soccer ball. And as much as we can joke about that, that was literally the story of Allen Lazard's season last year, was kicking around a soccer ball and quitting on the team. That was basically what happened last year with Allen Lazard. It seems like he's much more focused. I don't know if it's just now I know I've got Rodgers back. Now I can get back dialed in because I didn't want to play for terrible quarterbacks, or if it was something Rodgers did. But so far, very, very, very early into OTAs and into these warmer months now as we get closer to training camp, very early on, it seems like Lazard has started off these offseason workouts on the right foot. We'll see if he builds on it rather. But so far, he's looked pretty good. How much does that translate to training camp? How much does that translate into the regular season, the preseason? Only time will tell. But it seems like a much better start for Lazard than ending to last year. Again, only time will tell once the pads come on what he really looks like. But it seems like there's a little bit more focus, and they're obviously got that connection that they had in Green Bay. So some other notes, Braylon Allen supposedly looked really, really good. Him and Isaiah Davis. I thought this was interesting. According to these reports, Izzy did not get much reps with the first team today. He did not get much reps with Rodgers in the first team offense. So it really seems like the New York Jets are not zoning out Izzy because, again, this is OTAs and guys kind of play with everybody, especially the way the running back rotation has been on the open media practice. They were all kind of rotating through first team reps, all of them getting reps. So again, it is OTAs, and this isn't the end all be all just because Izzy on a Thursday afternoon in May didn't have first team reps doesn't mean that he's going to be cut or not play a role this year. But it is interesting to just see, though, that clearly it is definitely a three-way competition. That's going to be one of the more intense competitions come camp time. I mean, I think it was, you could say three-way. I think Braylon Allen's no doubt your number 2. And Braylon Allen, again, looked good today, both running and receiving. It's that downhill style that the New York Jets want, that physical style. It's tough to kind of grade the running backs because there is no pads. So it's difficult. But from what you can only see from all that we've got right now, he's looked pretty good. Isaiah Davis as well showed some nice bursts today. So you're starting to kind of see a little bit of that running back room, that competition really shake out, where you've got Izzy. Didn't get much first teams reps today, but you're seeing a lot of reps for Isaiah Davis. You're seeing a lot of reps for Braylon Allen early on in their careers, trying to get as much experience as they can here before the real work begins come the summertime and training camp. But it'll be really interesting. I just think the Jets really like Allen and Davis's play styles, their running styles, more than Izzy. Allen and Davis are kind of more of your downhill runners, while Izzy's more of, not as big, not as physical, not as good probably out of the backfield as a pass catcher. Pass protection's questionable. There is a lot of questions with Izzy, and in his minimal playing time last year, you didn't see a whole lot. Now, to be fair to him, he only had 22 carries, but he had 70 yards in those 22 carries. You could also go ahead and say, hey, he had the worst offensive line in football, and he was playing in meaningless games. So, however you want to look at it, it's tough to say, but definitely a good competitive room that we'll see really shake out here over the next couple months. Tyrod's, according to these reports, again, look good underneath. Not great deep balls, but it's kind of what you expect at a backup. Good underneath, checking the ball out, getting the ball quickly. Clemens had a sack today. Defensive line forced some good pressure. So Michael Clemens, this will be a big summer for him coming up when it comes to making the roster. I think when you look at a potential surprise cut with the New York Jets this year, it'd probably come on the defensive line. It could be Michael Clemens. I think that would be a really surprise cut because I think this coaching staff really, really likes him for some reason. I don't think he's anything special, but a waiting game now until the summer rolls around. DJ Reed, Jarek Bernard-Converse both had pass breakups today. Jarek Bernard-Converse came against Conklin. Jarek Bernard-Converse is a name to look for. I understand it's only OTAs. I've probably said that about 100 times today. But Jarek Bernard-Converse is a name to look out for. This is a guy that was barely played last year, was on the IR to open up the season. This was a guy that the New York Jets, I think the New York Jets like this pick. I think it was a smart pick in the 6th round. It was a smart investment. This is a guy that's got a kind of sneaky high ceiling. Very athletic, good in coverage. Versatility's key. He can play safety. He can play corner. You can always use those type of guys in the back end. And when you look at the way, this is another thing where I think Jarek Bernard-Converse has got some things working in his direction for him to potentially make this team and actually play a role this year as a key depth piece, is you look at the way the New York Jets have built this safety room. It hasn't been off of, 2nd round picks and big free agent pickups. No, it's a 3rd round pick in Ashton Davis. It's a 1-year deal in Chuck Clark, who, by the way, was a 6th round pick. It's an undrafted free agent in Tony Adams. And then you've got Isaiah Oliver, who's now made the transition to safety. He's a little different because he got drafted in round 2 as a corner. But then the depth, Jalen Key, who is mystery relevant, and then Jarek Bernard-Converse, who's a 6th round pick. The New York Jets in the secondary recently have done a good job of developing young, under-the-radar talent. They helped develop Ashton Davis. They helped develop Tony Adams, or currently developing Tony Adams, who I thought showed a lot of good last year, an undrafted free agent. Jason Pinnock, another guy who flew under the radar. Unfortunately, the Jets traded him. I think you could still kind of question that move, but they moved or cut him, and now he's with the Giants and still playing a role. But he was a 5th round pick that the New York Jets kind of developed and had that surprising cut because they really like Tony Adams, and Pinnock has had a very successful 2 seasons with the New York Giants. So Jarek Bernard-Converse is a guy to really look for, especially when you look at the history since Saleh has taken over, since Douglas has taken over, how they've built up this cornerback room. It hasn't been flashy names. It's been a lot of development. It's been a lot of under-the-radar moves. They don't sell high. They don't really invest much into the safety room. They just haven't. So I don't think Justin Simmons will come here. I don't see like a Quandre Diggs coming here. As much as I think it would help and I would be happy about it, I just don't see it. Especially with a guy like Jarek Bernard-Converse, who could see a bigger role. Now, he's a 6th round pick. It's going to take time, but this is a guy that's got some good strengths to him. Versatility is key. Could play corner, could play safety, good in coverage. Like he's got some ability. Barely played last year. Was on the IR. Was hurt. Like, didn't have much of a chance. So some guys are slower than others. We'll see what JBC delivers. Stiggers also look good in coverage today. So I'm rooting for Quantez Stiggers. And I've said this many times, whether he finds a place with the Jets, most likely probably practice squad or somewhere else. I just hope he's successful in the NFL because it's a remarkable story. It's an incredible story. It's an easy story to get behind. And somebody that'll definitely be somebody I'm rooting for definitely during training camp. All right, I'm going to close this out. Matt O'Leary posted his tweet the other day, and it's always an interesting time of year because you get fans that you get a portion of the fan base that is like, I don't care. None of this means anything. There's a portion of the fan base that's like, I don't care. None of this means anything until week 1. And I totally get that. At the end of the day, practices and OTAs and they mean absolutely nothing once training camp rolls around. They'll mean absolutely nothing once week 1 rolls around. Right? At the end of the day, you're here to win games. You're not here to have good practices and OTAs. We get that. There's also a portion of the fan base that gets excited. And I'm excited. And I'm fired up, especially this time of year where you're kind of entering into that summer mode. It's almost June. We're almost hitting mandatory minicamp. It's almost training camp. Like you could start to smell training camp. You could start to get ready to go back out to one Jets drive. All that energy that was at training camp last year, you'll get that again this year. It's going to be awesome. And I think Matt O'Leary hit it on the head perfectly about some of the Aaron Rodgers stuff. It's okay if you're a Jets fan to be excited. I want to make that clear, but here was the tweet. Jets fans were subjected to Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian starting games last year. And I could even go further we could even go further than that. Not even just last year. Then we had Flacco. Then we had Strevler there for a Thursday night game. We had Strevler playing in primetime. A disaster for years now. This goes on for years, not even just last year, but since Rodgers taken over in the injury. And then he said, don't let anyone tell you can't get overexcited or can't get excited over Aaron Rodgers throws, even if it's only May. And it's the truth. I'm not going to tell anybody how to fan. I think everybody can fan their own way. And I kind of stand in the middle, right? At the end of the day, all that matters is winning games. And Rodgers knows that. This team knows that. But it's okay to be excited to see Aaron Rodgers throw a no-look pass. It's okay to be excited to see Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson connecting during OTAs. Right? It's all we got right now. And last year was so miserable. As a Jet fan, you want that positivity. It's good to have a little bit of positivity in this fan base. Last year was so miserable, so disappointing, so frustrating. You can't just live in a pool of just misery. Like, it's okay to be excited. It's okay to look forward to this season. It's okay to feel like, you know what? We got our guy back. Aaron Rodgers is back out there. He looks healthy. It's okay. It's all right. You're not going to get, not going to get your Jets fandom taken away from you if you can't show excitement. And don't let everybody's like, oh, all quarterbacks look good in shorts. That's not the point we're trying to make. It's just seeing Rodgers back out there, seeing him healthy. And you're, as a football fan, you're starting to get to that stage where you want to see football back and you're starving for anything. And even if it's just one clip of Rodgers making a throw, it's like, man, just get me to the season. I think that's part of it as well. So that'll do it for an episode of In the Trenches with Gang Green. Comment down below all of your thoughts. What are your thoughts on training or OTA so far? Biggest overreactions, maybe? Any takes you got on some performances? Only 3 days in. But a lot that we've learned here over these 3 days, specifically over the last 2. So stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way. As always, hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you in the next one. Until next time, Jets, Jets, Jets.